But I think what I'll do, I'll put, because I've only bought 2 new tyres, so I'll put the 2 new tyres on the front and rear. Obviously this is a rear, the 350 by 17. And then I'll put the new one on the front there. I'll take it off the bike, and then I'll just put an old tyre, the best of the old tyres, back on the rim, which is not so good. If you've been watching the progress of this Galletto on a regular basis, you might remember that I got it running back in, I think it was episode 7, which I put up a few months ago. So basically, at the point now that the Guzzi is now put the new tyres on it, and I can get it started after all the engine work which I did, which is great. I haven't actually properly ridden it, so it's time to take it out to the yard outside and just give it a run around. See if it runs properly, see if the clutch and the gearbox and everything else works properly. Because if it all does, it's then time to get on with the other last jobs that need sorting out before I basically complete what I'm doing on this bike. So what I've done here, I've just very gently opened up the contacts, which are here, by pushing this bottom plate down. But I want to be really careful because I'm kind of, you know, almost forcing it really. Just put some fine wet and dry in there, just to clean the contact. Ooh, must be careful with the gasket. Original gasket, done its job. I can make another one, but it's just something else to do. Right, I think much more than that I cannot do, so I'm going to leave that for a bit. Then I'm going to put the lid back on, making sure it's the right way, which I believe was like that. And then I'm going to check it again with some voltage, see what happens. I've also loosened the switchgear now. It's just held on with these little metal brackets that hold each part of the chrome top in place. So I've taken those off. So I'm just going to look inside. And it's pretty clean. Yeah, I think some electrical spray on here, just make sure all the contacts are clean. I'll put it back together. I'll also clean underneath on the handlebar, because I assume this works by making an earth contact. There's the wiring underneath. Yeah, just needs good clean up. Okay, I'll do that and get a good earth connection. I'm going to clean these bars anyway, they all need cleaning. But hopefully with that and the horn bolted back on, might get it working again. I decided in the end to take the exhaust system off the Galletto, because I just think it looked better sprayed with some black VHC exhaust, because it's, you know, it's original but just looks a bit rusty and horrible. It's actually in fantastic condition. The Galletto I had before, I had to weld it in a couple of spots, but this feels really solid. Normally they're really bent around here, but this is really good, and the brackets are really good as well. So I'm just going to clean it up and spray it with some black, very high temperature paint, just to give it a coating of black, just to make it look a bit better. And you can see here that the what do you call that? A collet, I think, the collet that holds the exhaust. That's a new exhaust gasket that holds it on. It's obviously, when you buy the exhaust, the collet must come already attached, I assume, because I can't see a way of getting that on there. Anyway, I'm pleased it's in good condition. Doesn't need welding. I'm just going to wire brush it and put some paint on it, and that'll just make it look a lot better. You can get repo ones of these in Italy. They're not particularly cheap, so it's just good to take a part off that's in good condition. Just need some paint. For the rest of it, because I haven't been working on this for a while, I've just been doing other things. I'm bit by bit cleaning up the really filthy part of it, which is this part of the motor. Just covered in, not oil, just well, I suppose oil from the chain, and just dirt, mud and stuff. But it's coming up all right. Once I've got that clean enough, at the moment I've actually got some petrol on there, just soaking a bit, because I was trying with the degreasants and stuff that I normally use, and they weren't really getting anywhere. Yeah, I'm just working on cleaning all that up, and once I've cleaned that enough, and again I'm not restoring it just to make it look half decent. There's the frame and engine numbers. Then I'm going to put the swing arm back together. I've got to pack the bearings with grease. Got to remember to bring some grease. But anyway, it's getting there bit by bit. I might have shown you this before. Anyway, I did end up painting it because it's just rusty brown. So I thought it'd be better to spray it. So I just sprayed some VHT black paint on it. I doubt it lasts, so it never does that VHT stuff. It was in really good sound condition, apart from one little spot there, which I just filled it with some JB weld. I think it will do. So I'm refitting that now. One other thing to note about the exhaust, it's quite interesting that it has this flat section. So it's not made of a tube, it's made of flat tube. Reason being is to increase the clearance underneath the frame. Very clever. So I've cleaned one of these up already. Got the rubber out of the middle, and you can, on this stuff, it's a bit like licorice. Reminds me of licorice I sweet when I was a kid. But that is undoubtedly the original rubber, so that's got to be, if that was built in 1954, that's my maths is terrible, 70 years ago. So that's 70-year-old rubber. I doubt they replaced it. It's been replaced in the meantime. Anyway, I've got the new rubber over there, which I'm going to have to fit into here. I'll clean these up a bit more, but I'm not really going to polish them, but I'll make them look decent. Then here, as you can see, again, that's like probably, how many years worth of mud, Italian mud, il fango italiano, as they might say, that's probably never been collected from out of here, mixed with some oil and stuff. Genuine Italian mud. I wonder if I put it on eBay, somebody might buy it. Fango Italiano Genuino, as they say in Italy. So I'm just going to clean it up, and then I'm going to look at just touching in bits of the black, but I'll have to see what comes out like. But I enjoy this kind of part of it, doing a bit of the cosmetics once the engine is, now I know that the engine runs at least. It makes the rest of it worth doing. So I decided to repaint these side, not side panels, these footboards because they're really rusty and there wasn't much of the original paint left on it, so I decided to just repaint them black. Now I'm using Hammerite, which, to be honest, I don't really like it. It used to be good some years ago, but I think since all the European laws came in and you can't really use kind of poisonous, you know, chemicals anymore, it seems to have changed. It just doesn't, it just takes ages to dry, I guess, because it's water based. Anyway, I'm going to put a couple of coats on, and then I'll just put the new rubbers and the aluminium things back, and then once this is finished, it's meant to be a satin colour. It's actually quite close to the original colour that was on the Galletto, but I'll probably just kind of get Scotch Brite, just take the shine off a bit. The lights in here are quite bright, so that probably doesn't help, but yeah, it looks very shiny. But in fact, once you put it on the actual bike, again, I've got pretty bright lights in here. I think it'll look alright. So that's what I'm up to at the moment. One of the most difficult, frustrating parts of this refurbishment of this Galletto up until now has been trying to sort out these runners, which, so this is an original one. So these are the runners on the footboard now, on both footboards, left and right. This is the state of the original rubbers, obviously, you know, awful. Now, again, I'm not restoring the bike, but I think they just look terrible. So when I was in Italy recently, I did order from a place in Mandello. I ordered some new rubbers from a place called Valassi in Mandello. They're a Guzzi spare specialist. Now, it wasn't particularly expensive, the stuff I ordered, and I thought it'd be reasonably easy to get the new stuff into these kind of empty runners. They're like the ones on a Vespa or Lambretta, but you can see it's got particular shape. So that's the shape. That's the original. So you can see that the rubber in there, you can see the bottom half of that. It's quite a thin sort of profile to fit in those runners. This is the stuff I was supplied from Valassi, which I paid for. So rubber strip, and I bought, you know, enough to do the whole bike. Advertisers for a Galletto 192, but basically it doesn't fit, because you can see it's just too thick. This is like a kind of generic profile, but the bottom half of that profile, like these bits, are they're just too thick, and I've spent hours trying to get them in. I've boiled them, I've put oil on, I've put wash-arm liquid on, trying to get them into these runners. I've cut my fingers. Oh, it's just been a nightmare. I did write to Valassi and kind of complain, but they said, oh no, you have to, you know, it's hard work and stuff. Now, I think I'm a reasonable mechanic, but I'll tell you, this has been the most frustrating part of this refurbishment so far. So what I have started to do, I've started to get a Stanley knife, because I've already paid for this stuff and, you know, got a bit of time. I'm trying to cut down the profile along there on each side of the rubber so it will fit in. I've managed to get one in so far. It looks a bit ratty, but it's better than what it was. If the worst comes to worst, and I really can't do it because I've got about 10 of these to do, you know, and I haven't got days and days to spend on it. I've been told that apparently Vespa PX rubbers would fit, and I've looked online. I can see that the profile looks correct. Anyway, seeing as I've paid for these, I'm just going to give these a go first. If they look terrible, I'll just not bother with it. But yeah, it's been very frustrating, and I'm here, I've, you know, really kind of hurt my hands trying to get the stuff in over the last day or two. If I can rebuild bits of an engine, I think I can get a bit of rubber strip into some runners. So I'm trying to cut down this profile, and what I might also do is grind down this bottom part there to make it thinner so it will slide in. To make these rubbers fit the running strips on the footboards, I've had to literally recut the profile on each bit of rubber, and then with a Dremel I've had to just come down and open it up on each side to make it wide enough to fit the strips of metal, which are these. That's what's got to fit, and I think I said previously the rubber strips provided didn't fit them. They should just go straight in. Anyway, you know, instead of buying more and whatever, I've spent time to recut the profiles so that they actually go in. But yeah, I've spent hours and hours doing it, but hey, what can you do? Well, I can't tell you how relieved I am to have finally fitted all these rubber strips of these running boards. it's been a bit of a nightmare, to be honest, and it's taken me hours and hours and hours, basically because the reason being is that the product that they sell, even from Mandello, the home of Moto Guzzi, the product they sell is a generic rubber strip, and it doesn't fit, just doesn't fit what it's meant to fit. And I did email Velassi, who I bought it from, and asked them, and I actually asked my money back, because, you know, I tried for hours and hours, and then I realised that the only way to get them in was for me to spend even more hours to trim down the rubber profile, cut them all down with a Stanley knife, and grind it all down to make them fit, to force them in. So I have managed to do it. But, you know, if I was restoring this bike, I mean, you know, you can see, for example, that, you know, I chipped out the bit of rubber there. It's a bit scratched. I mean, they suit the bike as it is because it's unrestored. But if I was restoring the bike, I'd have to find something else. Anyway, I've done it now. So these two are now ready to go back on. Onto the Galletto. I've got the battery charging at the moment. So that one goes on there. That's where you put your feet when you're riding the thing. And the other one on the left-hand side. And to do that, I've got to take the mounting bolts out, because these, as you can see there, they bolt on with the with these brackets, and that's the left-hand side, sits by the flywheel. I think I'll first of all, I've got the rear lights to fit, and then I'm going to run the bike up again, check that everything's okay, because I don't want to put all the bodywork back on and then have to take it all off because I haven't done something to the motor that I need to do. But at the moment, it's all kind of looking all right. Right, I'll put them on. I've taken the fuel tap off, which is it's a frustrating, because before it kind of worked, but I guess that putting fuel in the fuel tank has maybe agitated some kind of, you know, sediment and crap in the fuel tank, and the fuel tank on this is not possible to remove it easily. Well, I don't know if it's even possible to remove it and clean it out. So I've taken the fuel tap off. I've been blowing through with air and carb cleaner and stuff, and there's a hole there which I've tried to partially unblock. This is the reserve tube, or is it the other way around? That's probably the reserve. But I'm not really getting a free flow of air, so I may have to unscrew those two screws and take the middle of the tap off, which I'm not really keen to do, because I remember doing this on the tap once before, and I took it out, cleaned it all out, but I put it back together and it didn't stop leaking. And this tap doesn't leak, so I'm really loath to pull it apart, but if I can't clean it out properly, I may have to do that. So I did take the tap apart, and it's lucky I did. So you can see, so there's a couple of holes there, third hole, and some lights just completely full of old crud. So I'm hoping once I clear that out, blow it all through, I'm just going to put it back exactly how I found it. There's the rubber. I'm not going to replace the rubber or anything. I'm just going to put it back exactly how I found it, and hope that that will do the job and the fuel will start to flow. I do hope so.